posting some random stuff on Twitter. He started to annoy me after a while. But hey, I'm not. And of course, as always, YouTube is the last one to actually start, showing anything. I don't know why YouTube takes longer to actually broadcast too, but to actually start, all right. Let me see. Wait till I hear your voice.
Test 1 2. Ready to roll. Test 1 2.
Yeah, there we go. That seems to be working. I can stop playing the loud thing off my phone. I'm still using it for the live comments. But hey, everyone, welcome. We have a great podcast ahead of us. But first, let's roll this intro graphic and just get right to it. And hey, everyone, I hope that everything's going well. I tried some tests. The test did not work, but hopefully what we're doing here works. So if you're in the live chat, please say something if the sound is good, if you can hear both of us. If it's not good, let us know, and we can always, deal with a disaster then. But anyway, for those of you who are not aware, I'm Joel Valenzuela. I host this thing, and I am joined by the illustrious, the wonderful, a.k.a. Lando Rothbardian, Lawrence. How's it going there?
Hey, Joel. Well, it's going pretty fine. It's late in the evening here in Germany, and it's Friday. It was a heavy week with lots of work. So, yeah, it was a good week, yeah. So,
yeah.
Can't complain.
Yes, well, Felix Hermann is in the live chat, so at least he's watching out.
Yeah, of course.
In case there's
Hello, Felix.
In case there's some issues with the audio. But the reason why, obviously we have always have good people on, but specifically I thought about you because I keep on seeing you out there crypto hustling, going out and basically providing a valuable backbone to the crypto economy by selling things online with crypto. So he says, Grüße. So I guess there you go. So we should be good. And so,
okay.
I've seen your stuff online before, but my first real interaction, of course, was the Dash Convention Europe, which I went to, and you're selling all kinds of cool stuff, including giving away or selling these kinds of shirts. And obviously, because it was Oktoberfest, Dashtoberfest, possibly the last Oktoberfest in the world, but we'll cover that later. You had this as the pattern. And so, yes, I'm wearing the shirt. It's one of my favorite polo shirts, and yeah, it came from you. So for those who are unfamiliar with you, how did you get into crypto in the beginning?
Okay. So let's start from way back. So I think it was in 2011 or something, when I stumbled upon Bitcoin, of course. And I was into all the Austrian economics, Mises, Rothbard. Well, probably people guessed it already with the nickname Lando Rothbardian, so there's no
surprises there.
Playing around. What is it called? Beating the sheets or something. No, there's a different.
Beating around the bush?
Beating around the bush. Man, I always get these phrases wrong.
Yeah, it's all
well, yeah, so I was actually kind of, let's say, frustrated would be the correct term, with Austrian economics, because it was all sound and stuff. That's not the point, but there was like no solution, because going back to the gold standard was like an illusion, because every country went off the gold standard way back in the 70s. So I didn't see a way to get back there. So, and when I found out about Bitcoin, I was like, oh, okay, it's gold, it's sound money, it's on the internet, you can't censor it. So, yeah, that was my hook for the whole crypto thing. And I actually didn't do much with crypto back in the day, because I was just like the classic hodler.
Yeah, now what year are we talking about here?
Yes, 2011, 2012 or something.
Nice
So,
and early.
Yeah, nice and early and stuff. Yeah, it's good for me. Yoo-hoo. Yeah. But I didn't really participate in any events or stuff because it was fairly in the legal gray area in Germany. So it's like the classic hustler thing, as you already mentioned it. You were like, when you wanted to buy some Bitcoin, you didn't go to an exchange. You just met people on the street, handed out cash and got crypto. But it got better later on. So I think my real journey into crypto, except for the occasional hodling and stuff and buying coins, was in, I think, around 2017 or something, when I stumbled upon Dash and found out about the DAO and saw the potential there for a decentralized consensus where there's no battling about 1 megabyte blocks here. No, we want big blocks and all the stupid stuff they did since 2016. So I was aware of these inner battles of Bitcoin, and they were really stressing me out because, like, I think in 2017 I paid around 25 euros or something for one transaction.
Ooh,
and
so bad.
yeah, so it was a fair amount, and but the transaction fees were just ridiculous, and it took like 6 or 7 hours until it went through. So it was already maximum that Electrum offered at the time to pay for a transaction. So yeah, that was pretty bad to say, at least. And I stumbled upon the DAO and looked at the projects and saw a couple of very interesting ones, like for example Dash MC DAC. Was founded in 2017 at the end, and I met Jan, so Ezra, in December of 2017, and got the chance to talk with him, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, and from then on, I looked into options, what I actually can do, and I provided some informations and technical guidelines for the Dash Embassy, just background work. So there's nothing like, I wasn't really the guy for the front lines, but that changed in 2018 when the whole market crashed, and I was like, yeah, so there gotta be more that I can do for the crypto community. And I had the specific problem that my graphics card just burned through, or was almost burning through. It was like at 110 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. So
it's horrifically high.
Yeah, horrifically high. And yes, well, it was any second that my computer would literally catch fire. So I thought, okay, you got all these Bitcoins, you got all these Dash. Where can you get some stuff? Like, where can I buy a graphics card? And then I went online and checked the stores that actually accepted Bitcoin and Dash here in Germany, and it was actually quite difficult to find one. And when I finally found one, they were actually a German company, and they accepted Bitcoin through BitPay. And I literally got bitch slapped when I went to the checkout because they were I was really pissed off because they wanted to charge extra 1% fee for paying with crypto. As a little context here, in Germany it is illegal to pass on transaction fees from the payment providers to the customers.
Okay.
So, but that only applies to SEPA-based payments. So you have credit cards, wire transfers, and all the regular fiat money stuff. So, but since crypto is not a SEPA-based payment system, they were like this. It was like, I still cannot fathom how they are calculating the stuff, because you're already calculating with 3% fees, or I don't know, whatever you're paying for PayPal or Klarna and Sofortüberweisung and all that other stuff. So why would you incorporate an extra tax to say to the customer if he's paying in crypto, and it's payment up front, which is even more obscene because usually in Germany, if you pay up front with wire transfer, you usually get a discount. Like you don't pay extra on top.
So it's a discount over cards?
No, it's a discount of a wire transfer because here in Germany and Europe especially, credit cards are not that usually used. So wire transfer is the regular way to go here in Germany.
Interesting.
So even our cards that we use in the store for the NFC no touch thing, they are based by wire transfer. There are some cards that are also using credit card systems like Visa or MasterCard, and they're gaining traction right now because it's relatively easy to implement them, and there are no complications between the banks and stuff. But in Germany, usually it's cash or wire transfer. These are the two preferred payment options that are being used. So, okay, I got a little sidetracked.
So you were trying to pay with BitPay, and now that's the funny thing is people don't realize about BitPay. BitPay was like the first great crypto payment processor out there, and I remember back in the early-ish days, like 2014, 2015 especially. They were a fantastic solution to set up merchants with because they only charge 1% to instantly convert to fiat. You could convert all or just some, and it was just that easy. And no one needed to accept other coins other than Bitcoin because no one really cared back then. But then after some point, when things became really expensive, first off, they waited forever before accepting anything else, which was Bitcoin Cash. And then they ended up doing Ethereum as well, I believe. I can't really remember. But they started doing a bunch of weird things like because of double spends, they started to require you to use some weird payment code thing that only the BitPay official wallet could actually use. So 99% of other wallets.
I remember that.
It was just terrible. And then and then they also started to do this thing because of all the transaction fees, of course, make things a nightmare. They started to do that thing where they added an extra fee for using BTC. And I think that was a way, to a certain extent, it was a way of just recouping losses from having to transfer payments over, and then each transfer is a transaction fee on the network. But it could have also been a way to try to get people to use Bitcoin Cash instead. But either way, it just became a nightmarish payment experience. And right now, if something uses BitPay, I won't use it at that point. And of course, I can spend crypto so many places right now, but I have that luxury. But now I just don't use BitPay.
Yeah. So when I see BitPay, I'm getting my Bitcoin Cash wallet ready because that works way better than paying in Bitcoin. So but to bring my point, I finally remember what I wanted to say actually. So so of course I didn't buy my graphics card there because why should I pay 1% more? So that's stupid. And then I don't know, it was maybe in May of 2018. Where I actually couldn't sleep for 3 weeks because I was thinking about a way to solve that problem. And then I thought, okay, why don't I just sell stuff for crypto, like physical stuff? Because you already had BitRefill, and they were all doing all the digital stuff, and they're doing a great job. So I really like the BitRefill guys. And this whole voucher thing, I'm personally not the biggest fan in terms of adoption for crypto vouchers because it's like there's literally no contact between the merchant and crypto. So they just see, okay, someone bought the vouchers because they're just like, there's no real connection. If they looked into it, okay, yeah, that's the guys from BitRefill and stuff. There may be the key account manager or something. He might see it, but there's no other real touching point there. So that's my only grief with the voucher services.
Yeah, so the thing about the voucher services, when I'm thinking about it, is because a lot of people say, why not use a card or something? Why sell some Bitcoin, use a card? Okay, well, first off, everything is no like AML KYC. It's like you buy a thing with crypto and then you spend that thing. And you don't need to use a card or other kind of thing like that, which is the whole point of crypto. And
Yeah.
also, of course, it still means that a lot of people are buying something for crypto. They're trading crypto for, they're paying crypto directly to a company, which then, like BitRefill, I'm sure a lot of their expenses are in crypto. So rather than switch everything over, then they get to spend it. There is a little bit of a loop going on there, even though they still have to do fiat to buy a bunch of gift codes that then they supply. And I don't think a lot of people know what using BitRefill with Dash is like, especially an in-person thing. The way you can walk up to a store, they tell you how much it's going to be. You enter that amount into BitRefill and say buy code, buy with Dash, and you get the code because of instant send. It goes like within a couple seconds, and you just they scan it from your phone and you pay. It sometimes is faster than getting out a card and swiping the card. So because of that, it's like it lets people have the experience of using crypto. Whereas like without that, there's only so many places that accept it, and it just becomes a little bit difficult to sell someone on living on crypto because they can't. Now that you can spend crypto basically anywhere through like a third party, through BitRefill or something, while still not like using a bank-like service, that makes it doesn't solve really the merchant end where more merchants are accepting it, but it does at least solve the consumer end where the consumer is able to get it. So huge fan of BitRefill, but anywhere I'd like to be able to spend it for real, I would definitely do that.
Yeah. So, and that was my thinking when starting ShopInBit, that I wanted to, first of all, only do physical products. And because I think there's a disconnect between crypto and real life, because it's all digital and you cannot really feel it. Like if you like really deep into code and stuff, then you might feel it. But just for the regular folks, it's not like you can just fathom really the what it's really about, having literally free market money available at your disposal that you can spend anytime, anywhere, instantly, which is so awesome. But you gotta like, what's the real value of crypto? Like, there's no real value, because we are both Austrians, so we know, okay, everything's subjective, whatever.
Yes.
But when you pay something with crypto and then, I don't know, 1 or 2 days later, you get a package at home and you open it up, and then you literally have the physical connection with cryptocurrency, because you have something in your hand, and then you can say, yeah, I literally bought this graphics card, I literally bought this bread, I bought t-shirts, I bought almost everything that I need in crypto, and it gets delivered instantly, and I have more privacy than using PayPal and stuff. And that was my first and main goal. And the second goal was, of course, to bring mass adoption from the B2B side. So I'm pitching all the time my suppliers. I'm telling them, okay, I'm doing this crypto-only store. And they say, crypto, what's that? And I say, Bitcoin and Dash. And, okay, yeah, I know Bitcoin. So I think that was my first learning in the B2B space, that everyone knows about Bitcoin. I haven't met one supplier that doesn't know what Bitcoin is. So, and that's a good point, which made it easier for me to pitch them that they will sell their products to me, because suppliers can always decline to sell you products. And I also had a second advantage that they didn't really see at first, because since crypto is non-reversible and it's paid up front, there is no, I'm blinking on the word here. Like when you're not paying someone, there's this, so sorry, English is my second language. I'm sometimes blinking on some words. So okay, there are no payment failures. No, that's not the word.
There's no dropped transactions. There's no chargebacks. No things like that.
Yes. So
chargeback is a specific to credit card term, where to be honest, I didn't know the term chargeback until I started using crypto either. It just, you don't hear that a whole lot. And
me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just say there's no chargebacks, and also when people send me the money, I have the money, so there's no risk of that the supplier doesn't get paid. And in German, it's called Zahlungsausfälle. So, and and when they hear that, and they're like, what do you mean 0% chargeback? Never heard about that. It's crypto. It just works this way, and they cannot charge the money back. So when I'm ordering something, you're getting the money. And if you're accepting crypto, I will pay you upfront. And that's my main pitch for the suppliers. And when I say I'm paying them upfront, they're usually befuddled, because usually you have payment windows of 14 to 30 days or 90 days or something, and then you pay them. But they're like, okay, you can pay us up front. Why would you do that? Yeah, I will pay you up front if you accept crypto, or else we do payment windows with classic fiat money. And they're open to that, but they are still waiting for a third party that can convert the crypto directly to euros, because it's easier for them on the
it's easier for them.
Bookkeeping.
Yeah.
For the bookkeeping, it's easier.
And also, they probably don't want the volatility right now.
Yes, exactly. So I have actually managed to convert 3 of my suppliers. I have around, I think, 15 or 18 suppliers that provide me with products, and 3 of them are currently crypto. So yeah, that's my whole deal, actually. So I started ShopInBit in December 2018. I went online. I built this. Back in the day, I thought ShopInBit was a really beautiful site, because I spent like 4 months or something building it. But it's actually quite, let's just say it's a nerdy design back in the day. But right now, I switched it up to a better shop platform. So it looks Fortune 500 and not, oh yeah, it's that guy who built it in his garage or something.
Yeah, of course.
So so that was my goal, and to get more mass adoption, to get a physical crypto connection going. And I started with 2,500 electronic products, like so CPUs, GPUs, and stuff, because I wanted to buy a graphic card.
Of course.
And since then, I have scaled up to 90,000 products that are available on ShopInBit for the European Union. So, and I have like fresh baked bread. So I met this one master baker here in Germany, who was relatively new to crypto, but he saw me somewhere on Telegram. And then we started chatting, and now we're selling fresh baked bread that you can get delivered in Germany, and it's really awesome. Like people talk a lot about this bread because it's kind of insane, and I also you might have seen it, the hyperinflation bread, which is priced in satoshis. So yeah, it's already I think 25% up still, even with the dip the last couple of days. So yeah, so there's a nice inflation index for you. You can just it's the Bitcoin bread index, I like to call it. And yeah, also 16,000 pet supplies are also there, electronics, of course, cleaning supplies, Raspberry Pis, and many more. And lately I started a new service. It's called Concierge service. So because my problem with the crypto community is that all my customers want one specific thing. It has to be exactly that thing. Not like, okay, I need a graphics card, it should be good. No, it's the RTX 2080 Ti from Gigabyte with 3 fans, overclocked. It has to be exactly that thing. So since I cannot collect my suppliers like Pokemon, it takes time to get them on board. So I thought, okay, maybe I can just help the people out to get their stuff faster if they really hate using exchanges and credit cards. So I'm getting everything. Like it's from specific Noctua fans to brand new cars. I ship them all over Europe, and there's no limit to it because I'm a legal business. So with your crypto credit card, you usually have around, I think, 10 or 11,000 euros as a maximum limit. With the concierge service, it's like, the limit is your imagination. So except real estate. Real estate I'm currently working on. That's a little bit more tricky in Germany. But you can literally buy everything for 2% fee. So that's like
it's
the main thing.
It's one of those things where it's kind of like the gift card solution, where because you can't get the business yet to take crypto, there's not enough customers, but they already sell gift cards, so you get someone who could buy the gift cards and sell them to someone. And so it's also, I'm sure, a good way to inform consumer demand, where you say, hey, a lot of people want to buy this via the concierge service. And then eventually you're like, there's so much demand that I'm going to do that. And it's funny do you know the site Crypto Emporium?
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, so you must talk or something, because they seem to be doing a lot of the same sorts of ideas. They have some sort of a concierge service as well, but I think it's only for travel type things. Like, for example, if you're traveling,
they specialized more in the real high-end stuff. So you can get, with their service, you can get real estate, luxury cars, and travel, of course. But that's it's a little bit different approach that they do. They just do high-end stuff. And I want to focus more on the regular guy that just wants to live on crypto. Like it's okay. I have a couple of customers who are also in this price range, like the one with the brand new car. But they're not the usual customers that come to the concierge service. Usually, it's just something about like one example was from a lady from Spain actually. She is a resident of the Czech Republic, and she cannot open up a bank account in Spain. So I don't know why, it has something to do with Eastern Europe or something. And since her bank account is in the Czech Republic and her credit card also runs on the Czech Republic, it gets declined on online stores if she wants to order something to Spain, because they think, okay, fraud protection, of course.
Everything's fraud protection.
Everything is fraud protection. So she had no choice but to look for other solutions, and stumbled upon my service, and I was able to help her out. And she actually just wanted to buy a keyboard, not like for a PC, but the music instrument.
Like keyboard.
Yeah. So. Yeah, exactly, something like that. Yeah, so it's from regular people to let's say the 1%ers, you could call it. Of course, I have customers from the OG Bitcoin time that just want to spend a bit. So it's not like every Bitcoiner is a hodler to death or something. But yeah, you're right. You actually just revealed my secret. Yeah, the concierge service is an easy way for me to check out what is really in demand and then focus on these products specifically. Yeah. So yeah, but sometimes I try new things out, like until midnight, actually, I have an offer for Cyberpunk 2077, the new game from CD Projekt Red, because it ties into one topic I wanted to talk with you about. It's nice when we focus on the business solutions with Dash and getting all the professionals in. But what I think is kind of lacking is the youngsters, like regular people who just want to try cool stuff, and they need something to get railed into this whole crazy free money rabbit hole. And I thought maybe video games might be a good solution. And since Cyberpunk 2077 has a, let's say, nearing theme of cryptocurrencies and digitalization and stuff, that will work out. So I actually managed to get the best price in Germany with free shipping to everyone who wants to pre-order Cyberpunk 2077 in Germany. Interesting.
Yeah, that definitely gets a lot of new people on board. One thing that I've noticed,
I hope so.
when we're talking about barriers to adoption, people don't get crypto. They don't, because they don't know where to spend it, and if they do spend it, like, they don't know how to get it. And I think that getting your full salary in crypto is one of the more difficult ways of convincing someone to get on board, because they make all their money, and then what are they going to do? Spend most of it right away? The price could go up and down. It's a little more it's a little more difficult. Now, if you have someone who's like a freelancer or something and they take some of their jobs in crypto, that's a lot easier. Or, of course, if you're like a young person, you could do some specific tasks for little crypto things, and then now they can go spend it. Now, Felix was asking that how many people work at ShopInBit? Is it just you, or do you have an army behind you?
No, it's actually just me. I have some friends who help me out from time to time. Because I built my business with risk in mind, of course, because doing crypto-only business is like super risky. And yeah, I'm a family man. You might remember I told you at Dash convention.
Yeah,
I'm a family man. I have a wife. I have a dog, and so there's not like a lot of wiggle room where you can just go, okay, let's go full bananas. And so I thought of a solution to make it as risk-free as possible with crypto only. So my suppliers actually do the whole shipping part and stuff. So that's why I don't need to have a storage.
Yeah. So basically, your expenses are, a lot of your expenses are just paying yourself.
Yeah, and also the servers, because I had to upgrade them a lot. So I have a pretty beefy server at my disposal, because having 90,000 products that need to be constantly stock updated and stuff, that's really intense. And I first started with a smaller server, and that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Because everyone hates slow loading websites, and I had to ramp it up as soon as the sales went up, and they did, fortunately. And so I was able to upgrade the whole system with the better shop system and the better server. So now you have like 0.5 seconds or something until ShopInBit is loaded. And I think back in the day it was almost like 5 seconds or something until ShopInBit loaded, even if you were in Germany. And that's like bullshit.
Yeah.
So, so I try to keep the cost low, and that's usually a good thing to do in the beginning, because it's still an early startup. And I might hire people in the near future, which is my personal goal, actually. I have some collaborators that I work more often with, like MX1211. He does the art, like the one in the back. It's one of his artworks for my second shop, Satoshi Goods, which satoshigoods.com is the URL if you want to check it out. And I'm also selling their t-shirts, merchandise, hoodies, crypto art, posters, mugs, I don't know, bags, and some other stuff. Jewelry, actually. Yeah. I also have jewelry there. Yeah. So everything that the crypto fan can want to have to just show off, flexing on fiat, as I like to call it. And that's like my second thing, which actually does a bit of risk aversion, because you can actually pay there with PayPal and euros. Because I started with the merchandise in, I think, somewhere around March of 2019 or May. And I had it on ShopInBit specifically. And I got a lot of emails from people who were like, oh yeah, you got cool stuff, but can I pay with euros, because I don't want to spend my crypto for some t-shirt? And I was like, okay, it's just one guy. And then a couple months passed, and I had almost over 100 emails from people who wanted to buy my stuff with euros. And I thought, okay, shit, this can't be it. You cannot put fiat payments on ShopInBit, because it undermines the whole privacy thing. So just as a context, again, for the people who don't know ShopInBit, you do not have to make a customer account on ShopInBit, and there's no tracking. There's no Google Analytics, nothing. It's just, you go on the website, you choose your product, put it in the cart, type in your address, and pay it with crypto, and that's it. There's nothing more. It's just, I wanted to really have this almost brick and mortar store like experience. When you just, when you go to a brick and mortar store, you just go inside the store, tell them what you want. You pay the money that they demand from you, and then you just leave. Mm-hmm. You don't need to do all the spying and crazy cookie trackers and all that crazy shit. Nothing. You just pay your fucking product and leave the store, and everyone is happy because everyone got paid. You got the product. Awesome. And I wanted to do this online too. And you cannot do a privacy focused store with fiat money.
Of course.
It's impossible. So, if you put in PayPal or anything, they will take your data. They will not ask. And they are even so, I'm raging on this topic,
yes,
like
fine.
Regularly. No, but with PayPal, for example, if you put in PayPal into your website, they will put their cookies on every sub-site that is on your domain, and they will just straight up tell you when you log in into the dashboard, hey, do you want to know more info about your customers, how much they make per month, where they live, and who are their connections, like what topics do they like? It's really insane what kind of information you get from PayPal. You actually have to activate it, but they are still tracking the data. So I think they have enough data on almost everyone who uses PayPal to hand it out to any advertising agency or alphabet agency that wants to have the information. So so I had to do a second store, Satoshi Goods, which has PayPal and all the other bad fiat stuff. But yeah,
there's quite a few layers to all that. First off, I think that it's kind of funny how few people who are into crypto actually use it, and it's not just like how few people have gotten into the habit of using it. Like obviously, I use tons of crypto. That's like what I use because I don't have a bank account. But I noticed that there's a few people who they use fiat everywhere because that's what everyone uses. And once in a while, they'll see a place that takes crypto. They get really excited. Oh, I never done this before. And then they'll go spend it, which is fine. But then you'll get people that like show up and say like, oh, crypto store, I love this. Yeah, can I pay with a card? And they're like, I thought you loved this crypto stuff. It's like, yeah, no. Like I've been with people who actually are crypto developers, even like who do things like they're high up crypto people go to a place where they know that they can spend crypto and they just don't still. And I mean, was it last weekend? I believe it was. I was at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and for some reason, Tone Vase was there, and he shows up. And he doesn't. Of course, he doesn't spend his crypto. It's all a hustle for him. But anyway, as far as PayPal and tracking and things like that, so first off, in the PayPal specific example, I think that most businesses actually do want to know that information, whether they think ahead or not. They want that, and so PayPal thinks they're being helpful by me. Hey, look, we secretly spied on all your customers. Aren't you proud of us? It's kind of that kind of a thing. And I remember a while back reading some article about was it MasterCard was partnering with Google to close the loop on payment surveillance, basically, because Google tracks everything you buy online, of course. But then MasterCard, so if you go in person, Google doesn't have that information. So they had a data sharing agreement to where when you use a card around, then Google gets that information and vice versa. So no matter what you spend, someone knows everything. And that's like the big reason I'm into crypto and I spend crypto all the time is because, no, I don't want that. They're evil. I don't want them to have all this information.
Yeah, and my personal opinion is, as a business owner, there's one metric that you absolutely need, and that is people are buying shit from you or not. Everything else,
and what are they buying? Fluff. But that's information. And what are they buying? You don't need information from them. You just say, all right, I had 12 orders today, and 4 of those were for these things. The other ones for, all right, and that's it.
Exactly, because everything else is just fluff. Mm-hmm. I was at a e-commerce trade fair here in Berlin, and it was ridiculous. It was like 90% of the booth were about tracking your customers, getting more data from them, and use some kind of AI technology to even do the precog thing from Minority Report, what they will buy in 2 months. Like, it's just straight up stupid and a scam, of course, like the other blockchain-based technology projects that are out there. There's so much shit out there, but with e-commerce specifically, it's total BS. I personally think it's BS. There are lots of my business partners think that I'm insane, that I'm not collecting data on my customers. But in the end effect, I want to provide a good service, and I really don't like spying on my customers because I really don't care. I don't care how much they make per month. I don't know if they're into furries or something. I don't know. Like, there's so much information available about people who are using PayPal on my site, and I think, like, why the fuck should I care? It's like, I have to know what the customers want and if they're willing to pay for it. I don't have to literally crawl into their heads and manipulate them into any kind of buying spree, because that's not the Austrian way. The Austrian way is to think about the future. Of course, it might sound kind of a paradox as a business owner to say, yeah, I want people to save money and think about when they're buying stuff and buy good quality stuff and don't just spend because they have to spend or want to spend, like an impulse or something. Like, but that's the right way to go. I don't want to have the customers that are coming to me, they have no money in a bank account, no savings and stuff. I don't want them to spend their crypto. I want to have them a fulfilled life with savings so they can chill the fuck out and not always worry about money. And then when they really need something, like I think myself, I'm like this actually. I just upgraded my computer because it was just way too old school. I used it for 6 years, and now I bought a new computer because it just didn't work anymore. And I couldn't fix it, even with Linux. It was it's just too old. You know, you want to play some games. You want to do high-end calculating stuff. That's not like, you cannot do this on a old school machine from 2014.
Of course not.
But that's like my my mantra, to say that, of course, you need to hodl some coins, but you also need to build something, and then, of course, you can spend some coins, but please replace them. It's like, it's a circle.
Yeah,
it works.
And it's incorrect market signals too sometimes, because, like, for example, I've noticed that every debt-heavy industry has insanely pricey products. So, for example, in the U.S., postgraduate education, university and postgraduate education is extremely expensive, and that's because you have guaranteed federal student loans. You have to you could basically buy stuff you can absolutely not afford. So therefore, the market's going to respond by jacking up the prices. Same thing with houses. Houses are extremely expensive. Most people can't afford the house. Everyone's supposed to get a house. Oh, everyone buys a house, but then they can't actually afford the money for the house. They have to spend 20 years paying for it, but they're living in a house they don't own for like 20 years. It's crazy. They can't actually afford it. Same thing with a car. Now, of course, I've done things differently, but most people just say, they just add the payments, and of course the handcuffs go around. Now they're debt slaves because they're doing all this. But more importantly, it just pushes like the price way too high, because you can have people that'll, can pay like a half a year's salary on their car, who can't afford, who otherwise wouldn't have been able to do that, and now you can put the price higher. And then there's just so many layers to this kind of thing, and that's, to a certain extent, all this tracking of consumers is probably a little bit of the same thing, to where you're trying to get people to spend money on things they don't want and they don't really want. And then you have people who don't have the money to spend on things they do want, and then some things cost too much and there's not enough demand to supply other things. It just kind of throws everything off when you start cheating a little bit too much. And that's one thing I've noticed is with every single industry or every single pursuit, someone tries to get everything down to like a science, to where they want hard data on what will work and what won't, and they don't want to take risks, which that's what business is. Business is a giant risk. It's always a risk, and you keep managing the risk and learning from it. But for example, you see when you go to the cinemas and there's whatever film they have, you could tell that there's this calibrated thing, like they all have the same stupid plot line, or then they all have the same, like, okay, well, this character, this looks like someone we know. We can't use a character of a different ethnicity because that's not what our audience is going to relate to, and the movie's not going to do well. They have all these like weird corporate ideas in their head about what works and what doesn't. And then something that does something completely different performs fantastically in the market because they just think they have all this data and can control and like all this. They think they have the consumer. They think they have individual human beings down to an absolute science, to where everyone is in the same bucket, and that's not really true.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're totally right on that. Especially with movies, it's sometimes irritating to see how formulaic, like every second movie has become in the last 15 or 20 years or something. So I'm personally a sucker for Marvel movies. That's no secret.
Yeah. But they're great.
In the end, if you look at the Marvel movies, they're so formulaic. But sometimes you just get a nice surprise, like Winter Soldier. It's actually my favorite
that was a good
Marvel movie. Yeah, this is a good one because liberty is like literally the theme of this whole movie, and it was so refreshing to see an anti-authoritarian mainstream movie made by the guys who made Community. Like,
of all things, like, yeah.
Like from all the directors that you could have got for this second movie in a trilogy or something, you get the guys from Community. It's just ridiculous. But now I'm digressing. Yeah. So the spying thing is, from my personal point of view, is just a sign of weak entrepreneurship. So, because when you start focusing only on the data, and I know a couple people will be pretty mad that I say this, but
yes,
if you're just focusing on the data, you start to lose the focus what really matters, and that is the service to the customer. Because in the end effect, being a entrepreneur means to me that my service is so good that people will literally give me their spent lifetime denominated in a currency to help them out with some specific problem that they have. And if you lose the focus of this one, and the customer becomes just this nameless number in your statistic that you just want to get all his cash out, then you're not a real entrepreneur, and you just try to get some money. But that's not the point of being an entrepreneur. You try to solve the problems of the people the best way you can, and if you're not able to do it, you just go bankrupt. So yeah, but yeah.
And that's one thing when you see when you start to get quantifiable data and rely too much on those kinds of things, you start to lose your focus on actually listening to consumers and being a consumer yourself and understanding what they want. And then also just like when they call like expert intuition, which is like, I just got a feeling this is going to work. And what that really is it's a lifetime of experience of small little observations of what works and what doesn't, all combined, but you haven't been able to put that out into data form yet, into numbers. It's all numbers in your head somewhere, but you can't quite figure it out. You just see like, that's going to work great. Like, people are going to love this. I think this is going to work out. And then you take a chance and it works or it doesn't,
Yeah. That's the whole thing of entrepreneurship. It's a risky path and it's not for everyone. But I like to say that if you think you don't have really any specific ability and your only ability is to solve problems, then you might be an entrepreneur that just doesn't know it. That was like my personal experience. I've Worked before as a call center project manager and lots of different other jobs. And until I went this way to go full self-employed business owner, I didn't really know that that was my skill. Being an entrepreneur is a skill, and you can of course learn it, but if you have a predisposition for it, then it might be easier. So just because you have a predisposition for it doesn't mean you can sell everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
That reminds me of a friend of mine who, when he was a young kid, like when he was a school and like a school child, he would sell pencils and pens to people in the classroom because they didn't have anybody. He got some ahead of time and would sell them at a profit. And then when he was a teenager, he started selling dirt bikes, and you basically, he'd take little outdoor motorcycles and then just resell them at a good profit. And at some point, the government shut him down because he didn't have all the permits for it or everything, and he just
yeah.
And including, but anyway, just the way hearing him talk about this stuff about I realized that these are the ones that everyone's going to be using, and I really like them anyway. Again, as an enthusiast, you have to kind of taste your own supply to a certain extent, right? Although,
yeah.
And so not only did he just know that these were in demand, so he's reselling them, but he quartered the whole market by buying all of them around. So then he could basically charge what he wants because there was a relative, people relatively would always pay a certain amount or more for this. And so he just owned them all, and then he could just sell them at a big upcharge. And it's just like that kind of thinking. I don't think you can always learn that. You can learn how to, but to a certain extent, that's a talent. That's a passion. It's like your way of your thinking about, well, if I sell this for that and I sell that, all right, there we go, it works. And I know Roger Ver is one of those same people. When I've seen him talk, especially about his past, when he's talking about how he'd do that kind of stuff in school, but then when he got out and he was in university, he started to see that he was trying to buy some new electronics, some new hard drives, and he found them for a certain price, and he looked online, and I think it was on eBay, and they found that they were way more expensive there. So he went to an auction, just bought everything he could, kept one, and sold the rest at a big profit, and then that's how he got into entrepreneurship. And then he's obviously into crypto because of all the payment restrictions that come around. But it's that same sort of thing that just that how to sell things. You know what's going to work. You know how to sell things. And sometimes if you're thinking too much and you get you're insecure about your own talent, you get a company like PayPal saying, "Oh, but look at this. We know all this stuff on these people. Look." Oh, and then you're thinking, "Oh, you need to know this. You need to know that. You need to know what time of the month they tend to be more predisposed to buy things depending on," and then you get all lost in all this data because someone else scammed you and thinking you need it all, and then you're all focused on that and you never go back to how to actually sell things.
Yeah, so if I was accepting PayPal and credit cards at ShopInBit, I would probably already have gray hair because I would be scared of this chargeback risk, because that's it's breaking your neck. If we're talking about electronics and worth of 5 to 10,000 euros, you really don't want to have chargeback problems because someone hacked a credit card from some PlayStation network or something. I don't know. The credit card info is literally everywhere available in the darknet. So that's no, and that's probably one of the reasons why as you mentioned earlier, that the spying increases in the e-commerce community, because they have to somehow get more data on their customers and have to, of course, save more data. With credit cards, it's especially tricky because you as the retailer have to provide evidence that someone bought something from your store himself. So you have to store IP addresses, you log them in with customer accounts and all that good stuff that we also love and cherish. But no, so to put it in one sentence, doing crypto only has a lot of merits, but it's quite risky. So
Of
if
course.
someone in the audience thinks about doing crypto only, yes, you can, but it's going to be pretty hard, and it takes a lot of time and effort to get into the minds of the crypto heads that really want to use crypto for not just gains and stuff.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I would, as someone who's lived off of crypto for a while and has dealt with a lot of risk and a lot of crashing prices and everything, um,
Yeah.
it's, I think it's kind of dumb. It's kind of not very smart to just live your normal life, but just on crypto right at this stage in the world, right? It's still very
Hmm.
new. I would encourage people to seek out ways they can do better by using crypto. So, for example, take jobs from across the world where they can invoice you easier in crypto, and you get jobs where you can get paid. You save money and time, gives more opportunities. Or, take donations on a site like this podcast, which, by the way, right down there, the Cointree address, you go there as all the crypto addresses. Almost everyone just uses Dash, but I get some other ones randomly. But yeah, so where you get
Hmm.
stuff we couldn't do otherwise, you do things that otherwise not the application things wouldn't work at. Or for example, you use something like Purse to save a ton off of Amazon, and so if people pay you in crypto and then you can save a bunch on your supplies, then all of a sudden then that works and that offsets some risk, or just goes way up. But yeah, so people that just work in an area where by using crypto, they actually do better. They seek the opportunity that can probably help offset it. But also, as part of the thing is, as I explained, it's like every entrepreneur has to deal with a up and a down month. Every entrepreneur, your business is doing well, you get a lot of sales here, and then you get some really bad months there, and
Oh yeah.
it all evens out. You have to manage that up and the down and the risk and make sure it evens out. Now, the higher your expenses are, and then, of course, this is thinking. You have to think as an entrepreneur, as an individual. You just making a living freelancing or whatever else you do, or just with your salary, your regular stable salary, you still have to consider yourself like an entrepreneurship type business, because sometimes your money, your savings value is going to be way up, sometimes it's going to be way
Mhm.
down, and then you have to be like, all right, I'm going to buy all my stuff when it's up, and when it's down, I got to not buy a lot. And part of what gives you that flexibility when it goes up and down is by having very low expenses. So that's why a lot of digital nomad type people spend very little of their money. They have very few consistent expenses, so that if they make almost nothing off of crypto, then they can still survive. And I'm sure, like as you were saying, with despite being a family man, don't really have employees and stuff because of exactly that same thing of the fewer expenses you have, the more you can deal with the ups and the downs, and the more you can just capitalize on the ups and not just be suffer from the downs.
Yeah, yeah. So, and to answer your last part, um, it's actually kind of stupid to go the classic route of having like a warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
because if I wanted to compete with what I'm currently actually doing, I'm competing with Amazon, I'm competing with MediaMarkt, Saturn, and all the big retailers in Germany. If I really wanted to compete against them with my own warehouse, I would have to put at least 30 million euros into stock, which is stupid. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is literally the stupidest thing you can do, because first of all, you don't know how many people are willing to spend their crypto for stuff, and if all goes south, well, you have this warehouse full of stock that you cannot get sold
It's
for
terrible.
crypto. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. But on the upper part, where you said you had to hedge your risk because prices go up, prices go down, there's a correlation with my sales actually with ShopInBit. If crypto prices go up, people like to spend their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and especially Bitcoiners. And when prices go down, they still buy stuff, but less with Bitcoin, but more with other currency. That's why
Mm.
Dash is usually on the second place, and or sometimes even first place in spending, because Dash users are actually using their crypto for day-to-day purchases, which is really nice for me. And I'm a huge Dash fan, so as you can
Yeah.
see,
So
with this big ass
that's a
canvas
very
behind.
interesting to think about because obviously, as I've lived on Dash for a while, I have to spend it, and
Yeah.
it's not like it's a choice, but it is a choice of how much I spend, and there's a lot of things I just haven't spent on a while because price is lower relatively, but it is kind of funny how people who have something like Bitcoin seem to be more, I guess they're more fiat heavy or something. Like they have more of their money in fiat that they're just using for bills and stuff, and then when they have some extra Bitcoin, then they'll go spend it when it is up in price. And
Yeah.
whereas it's just like, why would you spend your savings? It's just rather than selling Bitcoin for fiat, they'd rather just not do the taxable event or whatever. They'd rather not not just do that exchange, and they'd rather just spend it online instead. So that's kind of an
Exactly.
interesting psychology there. It's funny because Dash is like, for me, 50-50 on everything going great and then everything not making sense, because the Dash user experience is the best in crypto from what I've been able to tell. It's
And
cheap.
also from the merchant side, I can
Yes, it's
sign that.
fast, it's cheap, it works. It supposedly has a lot of users when you see things like that, and works for real money. And then also the buying behavior, the spending behavior is like it's stable. It's like a stable coin type thing, right? People seem to
Yeah.
spend it as if it was way more stable than it is. Now, Dash has been not quite so stable compared to other cryptocurrencies in certain time periods, and that's not good. And then of course, if you look at the actual growth in transaction stuff, I think it's still growing. And if you look at the transaction data itself, it looks like real payments, but it's not a huge level yet. So half the data is saying, oh, it's amazing, we're about to see this use everyday money for everyone, and the other half the data says we're a little ways away still. But hey, I'll take the half the data that we got, right? And
Yeah. So I think your observation matches mine, because when I go to meetups here in Germany, um, when I started in 2011, 2012, there were pretty lot of youngsters. Like I was, I don't know, 21, 22 or something. And nowadays, when I go to crypto meetups, it's usually people 40 plus years old. So they already have their fiat savings and stuff. They are stacked, and they do this crypto thing for fun, which are like, I would say, 70% of all meetup participants. They're like 40 plus years old. So we're not talking about some, I don't know, drunken 19-year-old who just found a bundle of cash and thought, okay, let's just roll with crypto and get going. No, they have all their houses and stable jobs and stuff, and which makes it a little bit, I personally think, difficult to find a good pitch, because except for gains and maybe a little bit convenience, what else can you offer them? Because they have no pain point like with fiat money, because they're making fiat money, they have all the savings, they have their house. Why should they care? So that's what I wanted to talk with you about is what do you think could we do to get more people into crypto? Like I have a simple example which might exemplify it as best. Is I wanted to come up with a graphic design for Dash like this one. So this was the best idea that I could come up with for Dash, which incorporates heavy metal style and also classic hand drawing. I didn't draw it, by the way. The artist, the MX12 Levins, the guy from Latvia, actually, really funny guy. And since Dash has this really clean, business-like, professional corporate identity, let's call it like this. Yeah, exactly. What could we do to bring in more young people? Because I've noticed that I'm kind of out of touch with the really young people, like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I'm only 30, but I'm feeling like a 50-year-old.
Yeah, join the club. Um, so I honestly, being able to spend it places is a good precondition, as in what can you buy
Yeah.
with it. I do know that a lot of banking services and stuff are not available to young people, or there's restrictions. Yeah, the way that works out, it's especially if you're a young kid. So young kids, you can give them cash, and they go, excuse me, mister, can I buy that? Like you can do that with cash, but you can't really do that with a car. You can kind of, but then it's like, where would you get this from? And it just, the agency that kids have is not that much. So I
Yeah.
think that if you start young enough to where they don't have anything else going on, they have no other way of transacting that works. Also, just like the payment app experience and the fact that you can't, like, there's this giant barrier to using payment stuff where there's the KYC thing, which doesn't exist
Yeah.
with cash. And somehow the government sees that that's okay, and like they don't understand this. Well, obviously, I think that they're trying to just make everything KYC, and they just haven't managed to do it with cash yet. But forgetting the conspiracy theory for a second, why is it okay to just pay you like this, but if I pay you with an electronic thing, all of a sudden you need all this information? It doesn't make sense. But anyway, so
Yeah.
you can set up a kid with a Dash wallet, and they don't need any government permission. They can send it anywhere without any suspicious activity, waiting period, all this kind of nonsense. They can just do that, and I think that they'll get that, and they'll get used to it, and then they won't want to use fiat anymore. And also, I think the best thing to do is just to pay kids for it. Pay them and hire them, right? Because there are things that young people know that the rest of us don't, which might be, for example, if you hire someone, you're selling games, for example, and you want to
Yeah.
you want to know what are the ones that people are really demanding. You want to see like what other stuff do you want to stock? Like, are you going to sell? I know World of Warcraft is really old by now, but like World of Warcraft Gold, it's like, what if you need to buy more of that to do stuff? People already sell that thing. In fact, I had a friend who he was very busy with school and he did martial arts in his off time, but he really wanted to. He did this thing where, do you remember RuneScape? Do you remember that game
Yes.
from back in the day? So what
Briefly.
he realized at some point that RuneScape Gold had real world market value. And so so he used to play RuneScape, get a lot of gold, and then sell it online for actual US dollars. But because he got so busy, he decided to write bots, but then they banned all the bots. So his bot was, he had a mouse events bot that just moved the mouse in this little pattern. So it wasn't even a bot. It was literally him playing the game, but it was just his mouse was on autopilot, mining runes, kind of like mining Bitcoin, but mining RuneScape Gold all day, and then he'd go sell it later. And at some point, they took out all his account. They took out half of his accounts that he couldn't pull off offline at the time. And even then, because of the effects of that, he lost half his RuneScape Gold in a day. But the half he had left was worth more than the whole that he had before, because it affected more people. And then you get to see like the supply and demand and scarcity and all those economics in action. But so that kind of thing, I can imagine easily kids trying to do a business out of, say they're really good at acquiring in-game points and things like that, like in-game resources. And then they want to do something with that, but then who's going to pay them? How are they going to pay it? Is the government going to come in? We need a piece of that, or what are you doing? You're too young, or whatever the hell problem they're going to give you. You could just say, hey, if I have like a online Dash store where you just sell it for Dash, they get it right away, and then they can spend it on real things, or then they can buy more because they know it's going to be. They could corner the market of World of Warcraft Gold or whatever, get the whole thing. Yeah, there's a lot of ways they can interact with their own environments. Or everyone has some sort of use for young people labor that's not necessarily like a full job. Like, teach me how to do this thing that I don't know because I'm too old. that's of course the biggest thing, right? Is I don't know how to do this. Teach me how you guys do it. Or it's just something like, hey, could you watch online? I'm working all day. Can you watch the social media accounts and just make sure no one's talking shit about my business? No one's saying, oh, these guys are a scam, whatever. You can just go and like comment, just like pay them for like social media warrior stuff, and they can set up alerts, say online, that just say anytime someone tweets about this guy, just beep, look at it, and then and so you can pay. You can just say, I'll send you some of this digital gold or whatever, this digital cash, and then they can use that. And it's just like about involving them. And for example, I remember a lot of the young people, their first job was teaching at a martial arts school, because they practiced the martial art from a young age, and by the time they were like 11 or 12 years old, they were already kind of an expert and can teach or assist teach. And then you could pay them. But the problem is, you pay them with like cash or whatever. It's like, no, why not pay them with this digital stuff? So that, in short, I think that's kind of how you got to do it. You got to give it to them where it would be difficult to give them other money.
Okay, interesting approach. Getting them directly involved with crypto and entrepreneurship is a pretty neat idea, I have to admit.
Peer-to-peer digital cash as it was meant to be. Yeah, so we're coming up on the close. Someone, Felix said, paying kids to make YouTube videos. And also, Orion says, I once bought World of Warcraft gold with Euro to buy a girl an in-game motorcycle. That's pretty funny. Yes.
Good job.
So, there's a lot of things in Great Wolf. No, was it Felix pointed out right-wing media outlets heavily use crypto. I haven't actually seen that myself, but that's another thing. Anything that's censored, and there's so many things getting censored and deplatformed these days. And so any system like that, they'd love to use crypto. So we're running towards the end of the clock here. One thing I was going to ask is, so one dream thing I'd want from the concierge service specifically, because that's like the thing that allows anyone to sort of live off crypto, is to have a more integrated sort of version of it. So it's not just, it's not as clunky to use, not as so basically, like if you could get like a browser plugin or something like that, to where you just add things to the cart and just hit pay and then can pay in it. Obviously, that's way more complicated. That's way more difficult to figure out. But if you could just say, paste the URLs of these items, and then pay, and then here's the amount, and then pay it. And if there's a problem, then you'll kind of say, hey, I need a little bit more, or no, we can't buy this. Or if there's a way of doing something that's more automated like that, to where people, that would be one wish list item.
So as I said earlier, my goal is to provide a good service, and the concierge service is not you just send me a link and then I buy the stuff. No, I'm actually looking at the safest, cheapest, and fastest way to get this product. So I'm searching the internet for better prices to get you the best price on this product. So if you are just, and also for me, it's actually a risk to just go to a link and buy the product for you, because I'm doing due diligence on all the merchants that I buy products of. So if you were just to stumble upon some shady website and think, okay, they have a good price, and then I check this and I don't check the site, then I send them the fiat money, and then I can go the whole legal route, of course. But for example, if you're sending me a link to a store, let's say in Israel or something, it has nothing to do with Israel. I have made business with companies from Israel. It was very fine. But just as an example, it's outside of the legal jurisdiction of Germany and Europe, of course. And so if anything were to happen, they have the money and they don't send the products. What can I do? Just take an airplane to Tel Aviv? No. So the money's gone. And not only do I not have your money, I also don't have your crypto. So I have to make sure that you can be 100% sure that you get the product. I have to search them find out if they're trustworthy website, and then check if it's really the best offer that you can get.
Yeah.
Like some customers have time preferences with the concierge service, like they need it in like next week or something, because like there's this one guy from Sweden, he needed a heat pump for his pool. So that's a tricky product to get. It's not like just go to this website, because he lives in Sweden and I'm in Germany, but I actually was able to get him the heat pump cheaper, sending it from Germany to Sweden, and it was still cheaper with the 2% concierge fee than if he would have bought it in Sweden.
Okay, so how about this?
That's the concierge. So you cannot automate it like this, and I would have to. You cannot program this kind of sophistication, but you could, of course, teach someone to do that kind of service, which I want to do in the near future, since the demand for the concierge service is currently like, it's pretty intense. Like I literally did this whole day nothing but concierge service requests.
Interesting. So here's an idea that's sort of halfway between the two. Is a Chrome/Brave browser plugin that just says, like, I want this. So you go to a page and just say, I can't pay with crypto, and you just hit that, say, I want this, and of course you can look at the link. That doesn't mean you have to buy it from that site, right? But you can do, okay, that's the product. I'll look and find it wherever else. And it just says, I want this, and how much are you willing to spend on it as a consumer? So you could say, this is, say, 50 euros. And I could say, I really want this. If he can't find it anywhere else, if it's hard to find, I'm willing to pay a maximum of 60 euros for this item. And so, and if you can't find it, you just, say, sorry, it's not. It's just like an automated request form. Whereas right now I'd be on the site, I'd be like, I can't buy it. I have to remember, I'm going to go to the shop and open a new tab, open it up and be like, hey, which item? Look back and forth. It's like more of a process. So if I'm just shopping, I'm like, they don't take Dash. I hit the button, say, I really want this. I'll pay up to this much. Boom. And it automatically sends. I just keep going. That would be useful.
Just sounds like a cool idea. I have to talk to some developers if that is feasible and actually good for the user experience. Yeah. But in the end effect, the concierge service, just to put it as easily as possible, it's the service that you usually only get if you're one of the 1%ers, because there are no questions asked, and the minimum is that you're 100% satisfied. So but it's only available for crypto, so you don't have to be a 1%er to feel like a 1%er. Like, for example, how would you automate special gifts that some stores offer when you buy products? Like, I had this one customer here from Germany who wanted to have this 4K gamer beamer, like with 240 hertz or something. And that one actually wasn't available in whole Europe because Corona and stuff. So we found an alternative for him. And because I searched for different options, he actually got a popcorn machine on top for free, which he wouldn't have gotten. So that's my standard for what I think about service literally means. Like, it's not like, okay, you can buy stuff with crypto, no, but it has to go the extra mile that you really are happy that you used crypto in this instant instead of just somewhere browsing it online and stuff. So service is what's it called, paramount. Of
course, that's the true way. Now, where could everyone find out about you and the sites you run?
Oh yeah, of course. So ShopInBit.com, it's fully localized in English. You can check out my store there, and also the concierge service. It's pretty huge on the top bar. You cannot really miss it. And it's available worldwide, but currently in testing stage. If you are within the European Union, it's no problem. Please be patient with your worldwide requests. So if you, Joe, want to try it out, it's still testing phase. We have to check if that works out as I think. So if you're willing for experimentation, please write me an email.
Of course.
And the second store is satoshigoods.com, and there you can find all kinds of merchandise and also crypto art like this one, also available as a poster. And the big incentive for using crypto on Satoshi Goods is you get free worldwide shipping.
And not
if you
with
pay in
PayPal.
crypto. And not with PayPal. If you pay with PayPal or Sofortüberweisung and the other stuff, you will have to pay shipping fees. But except there's one exception for the crypto art. These canvases, they are 120 centimeters by 80 centimeters, so they're pretty huge. And shipping to outside of European Union is quite expensive. So I cannot give you free shipping because it's 300 euros to get it with an airplane, because it's like it's a solid thing. You cannot just roll up like a poster. It's giant. Yeah, it's like really huge. So yeah, ShopInBit.com and SatoshiGoods.com. And if you want to find me on Twitter, it's Rothbardian at Twitter. Also ShopInBit at Twitter, and SatoshiGoods.com at Twitter. And also I'm also on Twitch and Instagram, I think. But you'll find the links on the website, or else you can just write me in Telegram, also available there. So I'm also in the Dash chat group, the German one and the international one, and the Italian one, actually. Yeah.
Oh, you speak
I don't
Italian?
speak Italian, but no, I don't. But I have sometimes interactions with Splavik. He's a really nice guy. Hi, Splavik, by the way, if you're watching.
He was watching earlier. Let's see if he says a comment. Hi, Splavik. Say something if you're chatting.
A really cool guy. I love him much, and I'm still hoping to someday get these fresh tomatoes that he offers to bring me someday. So but you can find me anywhere. Yeah.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, if you enjoyed watching this thing, definitely give it a subscribe. Especially, I mean, I hate that I'm telling people to subscribe on YouTube, but there's no streaming on LBRY right now.
Do it now.
But do it now. Yeah, subscribe. If you enjoyed it, also you could drop a tip in at cointr.ee/thedesertlinks. That's like Cointree profile. And also Cointree added a cool thing where when you send a donation, you can send a message along with it. And so, for example, last time I had the podcast with Josh Shigala of Faltoro. Someone left a little message saying, great podcast with that guy. And so now I knew exactly what it was for. So yeah, it's great. What's the retail site again for his store? ShopInBit.com and SatoshiGoods.com, right? Got those right?
Exactly.
All right, there we go. So now it is time for the critical thing called the after party, where it's just like this, except a bunch of people. It's not recorded, so don't worry about crazy stuff you say.
Ooh.
And it can go into the wee hours of the morning sometimes. So if you want to do that, first you have to go to the Dash Talk Discord, which is staydashy.com. And that will get you in there. And then you just start asking around. We do it speakeasy style. You just got to ask around. You can ping me, and I'll let you in, and we can just go chat. And so, yeah, it's going to be a great time. Thanks so much for spending the time. I'm going to put out a how to live on crypto video very soon. I was working on it before the podcast. And, of course, I'm giving those two stores a shout-out in that video because they have a lot of, it strikes out as one of the big places you can actually spend your crypto. And that's kind of the point of that. So yeah, thanks again for being on. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you around.